I've been talking a long time. I sense movement. I need a new battery. Can you hear me? A new battery!
Last episode, we built something unusual, a proper MS-DOS machine, real hardware, real ISA sound, in a form factor small enough to sit on a bookshelf next to your paperbacks. No emulation, no compromises on feel. But there was a constraint, a hard ceiling. The 386 processor is a brilliant piece of engineering, but in 1993, the world moved on without it. Games like Doom run on a 386, technically, in the same way a bicycle technically gets you to the airport. So today, we fix that. We go from a 386 to a 486, and while we're in there, we're adding an optical drive because there's a whole second library of DOS gaming, CD-ROM multimedia titles that we've been locked out of entirely. The centerpiece of this build is the PC-M3346, an Advantec PC104 board. And if that form factor is new to you, the short version is PC104 was designed for industrial embedded applications, ruggedized, long life cycle, no spinning fans required in many configurations, and no consumer-grade electrolytic capacitors quietly bulging towards a premature death. That last point matters more than people realize. If you've ever picked up a vintage consumer motherboard and found half of the caps have leaked, you already understand the gamble. PC104 boards were engineered for environments far more demanding than your bookshelf. They were meant to last. The motherboard also has a built-in CompactFlash slot, no IDE adapter needed, clean internal routing. And here's the elegant part. Because CompactFlash occupies its own dedicated interface, the IDE channel stays completely free, which means we can plug in an optical drive directly, no IDE sharing compromises. We'll come back to the drive later on. But first, the processor. This runs a Cyrix 486 core, and before the Intel purists close the tab, hear me out. Cyrix in the early 90s had a complicated reputation. Some compatibility quirks in very specific edge cases, but performance-wise, at the same clock, you are within touching distance of an Intel 486. Close enough that for DOS gaming, the thing we actually care about, the difference is academic. By using MoSlow and setmul, this board is scalable. If you need to run an early 1989 DOS title that chokes at anything above 8 MHz, dial it back by disabling the CPU cache. If you want to push Doom at full detail, dial it up. It's a time machine with a throttle. And for games that can make use of it, such as Falcon 3, the integrated math coprocessor enables extra features such as high fidelity mode. Every serious DOS build has a sound argument. This one is settled for me by the Diamond Systems Crystal MM-HP5. This is not a card you'll find at your local retro shop. Actually, that goes for every PC104 sound card. This is a card that you hunt. The HP5 uses the ESS1869 chipset, which gives full Sound Blaster compatibility. The card has a game port for joystick and external MIDI support, which is essential for an authentic gaming and sound experience. The ISA interface fits naturally in the PC104 stack, and the card has all necessary analog audio output and input. OPL3 FM synthesis is the sound of DOS gaming. If you grew up with it, that specific timbre is hardwired into your nostalgia. The ESS1869 has a proprietary implementation called ESFM that I find musically pleasing. That said, it isn't objectively better than the Yamaha OPL3. It ultimately comes down to the listener's ear and nostalgia profile. For this build, I'm using a 5.7 by 3.2 inch tall extruded aluminum project box. Integrating an optical drive into a compact PC104 build appears simple at first, until you're faced with an enclosure whose width is actually smaller than the drive you're trying to install. The solution is a Slimline laptop optical drive, thinner than any desktop variant. I went with the DVD capability rather than CD only for added flexibility. Now, here's the part that took research. Slim optical drives use a JAE connector, a Slimline interface from the laptop world. To connect that to the PC104's standard 44-pin IDE channel, you need a JAE to 44-pin adapter. Straightforward on the data side, but there's a second wire run that matters: analog audio output. When you play a CD and want Redbook audio, the actual audio stream from the disc, not digital extraction. The audio comes out as an analog line-level signal from the drive. It has to be physically routed to the sound card. With the help of the ESS1869 pinout documentation, I could trace down the connector for exactly this: a short internal audio cable from the drive to the card, and this DOS machine will be playing CD audio through proper OPL3 era hardware. I used FreeCAD to design both the front and rear panels to accommodate the drive bay and all the necessary connector openings. Tolerances are tight. The goal is a panel that looks like it could have come from a small-run industrial manufacturer, not a garage. The files go to CNC machining, 1.5mm aluminum sheet, thin enough to keep weight down, thick enough to be rigid and feel solid in the hand. To hold down the boards, I'm using 10mm T-rails just like in last episode's 386 build, held by very high bond VHB tape. The rear panel goes on first, followed by the Pico power supply, which is held by two custom brackets screwed to standoffs on the T-rail. Next, the Diamond HP5 sound card on standoffs. Motherboard stacks on top of that, same PC104 philosophy, vertical integration. But first, we need to add 4 additional standoffs that also serves as spacers. The optical drive requires 2 cables to make this work. One, the IDE data ribbon, connecting the motherboard to the DVD drive through the JAE adapter. And 2, the thin 4-wire audio cable running from the adapter's analog audio breakout up to the sound card's CD audio input header. Time to close it up, starting with the top panel. Then the CNC rear panel drops into place. VGA, PS2, game port, audio out, and new for this build, RJ45 Ethernet. Every cutout lines up with the board headers. And finally, here is the fully assembled system. It is bigger than episode 1, but everything that matters, a 486 CPU, a sound card, a DVD drive, a CompactFlash hard drive, and Ethernet networking, it's all in there, except perhaps a floppy drive. There is something about holding a system you assembled yourself that emulation such as DOSBox will never give you. DOSBox is excellent, it's free, it runs on the computer you already have, highly compatible, and objectively the smartest way to just play retro games. But you're still watching this video, which means you've probably already used it, and you've probably felt that something was missing. The tactile experience, the tiny delay as the BIOS posts, choosing each component, solving each problem. It's about building something unique, something that works because you made it work. Let's now talk about cost, because this is where PC104 builds live in an uncomfortable space. These boards were not made for hobbyists. They were made for industrial integrators with procurement budgets. New old stock at original commercial pricing is absurd. Some sellers know they have something rare and price accordingly. But with patience, real patience, and understanding what a fair price looks like versus an opportunistic price, you can build this for a budget that remains competitive. Modern retro projects like the Pixel X86 and ITX Llama are excellent, purpose-built, and have set costs and timelines. The PC104 path, though time-consuming, offers something unique. You are not buying a reproduction. You are getting the original article, built to a standard that consumer hardware never had to meet. So let's get back to that moment. Not slideshow Doom, not technically it boots Doom, playable at full speed. The Seventh Guest, a game that literally couldn't exist without a CD-ROM. Full motion video throughout, 2 discs, no floppy versions ever made. And it needs the 486 to decode all that video. And now, this is a compact bookshelf 486 with CD-ROM capability, a complete machine that covers virtually all DOS gaming golden age titles, everything from Doom, text parsers to full motion video. If you find this video of any value, please hit that subscribe button. And as always, happy retro gaming and build something real. Catch you in the next one.